let's make the day recap quick, because if it's too long, then I'll have to make a section for it, and that takes effort, and I don't want to do that. So, I did tie bow with my mom. That was kind of fun. Good workout. Didn't do much else today, honestly. Got a haircut, though. Kind of looks balls, but, you know, it's better than thick hair, I guess. It'll grow out a little bit by tomorrow. Who cares? Anyways, let's think of a topic. What is the topic that I wanted to talk about today? Not much. Let me think. Should I talk about the SR-71? The SR-71 Blackbird, produced by Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works division. Well, I don't know what else to talk about, so we're doing it. All right, let's go back. Roll it all the way back. Not start the Cold War, but in the Cold War, the midst of a Cold War, if you will, between USSR/Soviet Union and United States. If you weren't aware, then I guess you're not from the US or Russia, so you aren't as informed on the defense, but technically to have a global impact. But anyways, Cold War. We were spying on Russia via the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, using, that was a spider, using the U-2 spy plane. This was kind of the first really designated plane for spying. It flew really high up, and that's all it did for stealth. Had some cameras to take pictures of stuff like silos and basically anything you could see from the sky. So we got intelligence from the Central Intelligence Agency. Intelligence is the keyword there, the I in CIA. So it was a cool plane, and it was so high up that radars and missiles couldn't really get to them. I'd give you a little lesson on radars, but if you actually cared, you would just look them up, or you would know. And honestly, if you're watching this video intentionally, then you are probably already a nerd of some sort, and you know what a radar is and how it works, and missiles too, because honestly, they're not even that complex of topics. But anyways, as the technology was very, very rapidly improving because of the space race and all that stuff, and Cold War, people were making ICBMs and stuff, so we had to improve those. It was the rush to whoever can make the best, biggest missiles that are scary and stuff. The U-2 was in danger, because flying over the bad guys a bunch of times while their missiles are getting better is not a good thing. So it did occasionally get locked by radar, but the missiles couldn't quite make it, but it was in danger. So the CIA was like, we might need to make a plane that won't get shot down by a missile. Spoiler alert, it still did. But anyways, so they commissioned Lockheed Martin, who made a bunch of other planes for the military and CIA beforehand, mainly the military, United States Air Force, USAF. So they're like, hey, make us a plane that won't die, please. It's a bird nest. Dang. Anyways, that's what kind of, I'm getting off topic here. Okay, so yeah. Lockheed Martin was like, all right, cool, Kelly Johnson, Skunk Works division, go, make something cool. And sometimes they're like, let's go super duper high up so they can't see us like a spaceship. So we're like, no, we gotta go really fast, we can outrun everything. No, guys, if we just get like super duper stealthy, then they can't even see us. And a bunch of evolutions happened, and it was the Archangel program. And in the end, they went with there's that little piece of chalk again I found earlier. By earlier, I mean many days before. Let me just reinstate my drawing. There we go. So, the A-12, Archangel 12, codenamed Oxcart. This thing did not just fly high, did not just fly fast, and was not just stealthy. It was all three of those things. Cruise altitude of 80,000 feet, cruise speed of Mach 3.2, which is roughly 2,200 miles per hour. I don't know what kilometer per hour is, and if you're too lazy to look it up, then that's honestly just a skill issue. I'm not British or, anywhere else except America and that one island near Asia that uses miles per hour as well. Don't know what it is. But regardless, very, very, very fast. And the design was super stealthy, which was kind of a new topic at the time. No one really made planes for stealth. But this one was a sneaky boy. Now, it had a lot of cool features. Nitrogen-filled, aluminum-infused rear landing gear, because taking off and landing at 200 miles per hour, kind of tough wear on the tires. So they were very big and expensive and super pressurized. Some features were unique to the SR-71, but as for the A-12, flew very fast using two Pratt & Whitney J58 engines, and these are turbojet engines. So the way they work is when you fly fast, you go faster. Now, this is typically not like the best. It's not really that efficient, but with the SR-71 it was, because it wasn't just the turbojet engines, which work decently fast. It also had a ramjet. Those work even faster, but they only work if you go fast. If only there was like some sort of turbojet inside that would get you to speed. Oh wait, there was, right. So the J-58 turbojets went fast, and then the ramjets kicked in, bypassed the turbojet in the inlet, or that's not, I forgot what it's called now. Anyways, who cares? Basically went around the engine, and a little spike which managed the shockwave. Basically, the air went in very fast, and so much air went in that there was a ton of crap to combust. So it combusted, which made it go faster, which meant there was even more air to take in, etc., etc. And essentially, the faster you went, the better fuel mileage you got. Can't go too fast unless you're playing. Unless you want your plane to disintegrate. One moment, please. All right, back. So, what was I talking about? It's like been 15 seconds of walking, and I already forgot what feature I was discussing. Oh, right. The engines. So, what do you use to fuel these engines? Well, you use JP7, or Jet Propellant 7, a special compound made up of a bunch of crap. You will not memorize every single thing it's made out of unless you really put yourself to it. Look up what JP7 is made out of, and it's a bunch of weird crap. Basically, it's very, very hard to combust. You could literally drop a cigarette in it, and it would not set on fire. And that's what's used to fuel it. And you're thinking, wait, hold on. Engines need stuff to combust to work. So how did you get that stuff started? Glad you asked. TEB, or triethylborane, was a special compound made, and it reacts with oxygen. So if you had it here and you opened your hand, it would go kaboom. So that was used to start it. It had roughly 16 shots. It was essentially a starting machine, or starting compound. This really got the engines going, but it needed to start up the engines in the first place. And to save weight, which it did a lot of, it had a starter, and that thing was a start cart. It was a cart with 2 Buick V8 engines, just running the hell out, just full power, starting up both turbojets in the hangar, because it couldn't do it on its own. And that thing is cool. So, the engine's very strong, very fast. Ramjet's very strong, very fast. And then you have the fuel tanks. Typically, you have a device which holds fuel inside of your device, which carries you like a vehicle. And that it is a vehicle, so same thing. But it doesn't have a device to hold the fuel, because the device to hold the fuel is the vehicle. Imagine you literally just poured the fuel into that 4Runner. You literally filled up the entire thing. The windows keeping the fuel in are also the same thing, keeping the air going very fast around you out. Technically, you're going faster on the air, but who cares? So, yes, the titanium skin, 85% titanium, by the way. There's a cat over there, you probably can't see it, though. Was keeping the fuel in, and it was keeping the air out. However, due to thermal expansion, which I hope you know about, when flying very, 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 very fast, air molecules hit you very, 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 very fast, which starts friction, which expands things. It makes you very, very, very hot. Even though you're flying at the edge of space, it's still very, very, very hot. So, metal expands. Now wait, if the metal is tightly sealed, then how can it expand? Because it isn't. Yes, you had very slight gaps which allowed dripping on the hangar and runway and wherever the SR-71 was while it was cold. Once it got up to speed, it basically expanded again and it was fine. But it had to have room for that, so there was always gaps. And there was a chart for the amount of leakage allowed. Some areas had none, some was like, screw it, like 50 drops per second. Just let that thing drip. 1 second, again, there's Chino. Actually, let's turn around. I'll go this way. So, yes, pretty funny chart. I actually have that as my laptop lock screen, but I modified one of the things to say how many sins were allowed. 0. Kind of funny. Oh, he's running away. No, he's gone. Okay, another cool feature of the A12 aux cart, same thing with the SR-71, has mostly the same features and kind of same general design in the first place, is the fact that it, okay, so as for individual features, the mixer. It can mix both roll and pitch, rolling like that and pitching like that. Yaw is doing that. That has separate rudders. Those just turn. They're kind of boring. But the roll and the pitch mixer is fully mechanical. There's cables from your stick going all the way back the entire plane, which is a very long plane, by the way, I think it's over 100 feet or under 100 feet, one of the two, around 100 feet, to a very, very back where the elevons are. You see, typically, planes have these things. If you know anything about aerodynamics, you know how this works already. You can skip this part. But you have parts that do this, and when air hits it, it pushes it. So let's say you're going like here. Here's a rudder. And then if you turn it this way, the air hitting it will push you this way because it's pushing it to the side, and because it's on the back of the plane, back side goes that way, front side goes that way, which turns you to the side. If you have, in the like back of the plane, if you have elevators, you do that, then it's pushing down, and now back plane go down, front plane go up. Now this has elevons, which is 4, 2 on left, 2 on right, and basically, like if this side go down, this side go up, that'll roll you, or it'll pitch you if they're going the same direction, or a combination of those. Combination, so you need to mix them? Yes, you do. The flight mixer, this is the fun part. So it uses fully mechanical things to combine the rotations of your stick, which is just doing that and doing that. And it combines that, especially uses hydraulics too for some trim and for some shaking stuff. And if you look up the mixer or watch the animograph video on the SR-71, you'll see it is an insane thing. Very, very cool feat of engineering. It is a beautiful device using cables and just mechanical genius. Technically, it does use mostly simple machines, but it is still a really cool device. So, one feature the SR-71 has that the A-12 does not is a constellation tracker, or technically it's called an astro-inertial navigator. That was lightning. And what it does is when you fly at 80,000 feet or above, you can see the stars, daytime or nighttime, because day and night don't really exist up there. You're in space, basically. Not literally in space, but close enough. So it just uses the stars to navigate, which is really cool, obviously. I'm not sure why the A-12 didn't have that. But anyways, that was just some features from it. Let's get back to the storyline. So A-12, very fast, very cool. But ironically, even though it was for the Cold War, it didn't really fly over Russia. You see, what it instead flew over was North Korea during a certain incident with, I believe, a warship, and Vietnam during a certain war involving Vietnam. I bet you won't guess what it is. Correct, it's the Vietnam War. How did you know that? So, A-12 didn't actually fly that much because the United States Air Force, as mentioned earlier, USAF, shout out to them again, they said, that's cool, yeah, I want that, but can it like shoot things, and can it drop bombs, and can it launch missiles, and can it do like a bunch of stuff, and can it do like cool things? I hate that device. Stupid thing that makes my ears hurt. But anyways, so Lockheed Martin was like, I guess, I don't know. So they made it a little bigger, have a larger fuel tank, carry 2 passengers. And despite the other things like the YF-12 interceptor being created and a couple experimental bombers, and which were never actually made, really only the SR-71 was used. And guess what? Despite it being made so it's versatile, it was a recon plane. Yay. Flew over a bunch of places and a bunch of wars for a bunch of reasons. Flew a lot more than the A-12 actually, and it was just better in general, had a longer range. That was the biggest thing. And it was never shot down, nor was the A-12, because fly high, fly fast, hard to see. One time, a missile got really close, but it was a mile away, and it was going fast. It was like, oh no! So they sped up, and then the missile blew up because it couldn't catch him, because it's just fast. And that makes it the fastest air-breathing aircraft. Okay, like, literally look up the X-15. That is the only faster manned air vehicle in the world. It's a literal rocket. It's like a missile, but you took out the AI and the explosives and put in a cockpit and control mechanisms. It's not an airplane, and it is not air-breathing. It is just, it's a rocket. It doesn't even take off on its own, and it only has a few minutes of fuel. X-15 does not count. So, SR-71 is the fastest plane, and I like velocity. In fact, there are many reasons why I like the SR-71. First of all, I like velocity. It is very fast. I like go big or go home. It full send speed. It has so many problems. It costs a lot of effort and money and time to repair and maintain and do missions and set it up. And it truly sends into those 3 aspects: stealth, altitude, and speed. It is an alien spaceship, basically. It is super cool. I also like military-related things, and it is that, obviously. If you haven't figured that out, then you're probably stupid, or English isn't your first language, or at least not a not proficient in it at all. Another reason I like it is I thought about it earlier, but I completely forgot what it was. Let me think for a moment to what the other reason was. Now I remember, is because engineering. I love engineering, and that thing is an engineering marvel. It broke a lot of records and did a lot of things and started a lot of things, and it was truly revolutionary for its time and for all time, because it is just an amazing thing. SR-71 is cool. That is not debatable. It is objectively the coolest thing on planet Earth. Don't even at me, because it is so cool. And that is why I love it, and that is why it is in my profile picture. If you're watching this past May 29th, my profile picture has changed, but it is still in it. In fact, I highly doubt you're watching it by then, because the YouTube feed would have died down and all of my consistent viewers would have watched it pretty much around when it's released. But if you are, well, actually, I guess if you watched this before the change, before May 29th, which is my birthday, by the way, then you can just check in then if you happen to remember this. But regardless, if you watch this video and have memory or are currently watching it, and my profile picture has changed, you can notice the SR-71 has been incorporated into the Baptist cross. I think I've been talking too much and my mind is starting to blank. And by the way, that was only a few things about the SR-71. There's a lot more you can go into. The full story of it was just crazy. Also, some of the designs before it were absolutely stupid. One design literally required a balloon to lift it. Someone said, let's make a balloon lift a solid titanium plane. Okay, we shouldn't do that. But then the guy was like, no, do it. The balloon had to be a mile wide, so they're like, okay, fine, I guess it's not a good idea to lift a freaking titanium plane that is like 100 feet long with a balloon. You know, not the smartest idea, just saying it could have been better. That is a cool moon. Technically the tone is more warm, but it is cool in the swag sense. Is there anything else that would be interesting? And by interesting, I mean, if you're still watching this, you found at least one of those things interesting. So you might find another thing interesting about the SR-71. Let's see. I have seen it in person, and I plan to do that again very soon. It's been many years. I kind of just ignored everything else at the Air Museum because SR-71 was there. So I kind of had to go see that, and I was too locked on. Missed a bunch of other cool things. I do have a picture of it, though. I'd like to recreate that picture the next day, or the next time I go there. My mind is legitimately blinking, and my mouth is being unable to say words, and that's not a good thing. So, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If you didn't, what have you been doing? God bless you, and as always, adios mi amigos and amigas.